Hi everyone, my name is Anne. Welcome to my knitting channel. Knitting is my hobby and I like knitting in my spare time. In this video, I'd like to talk about the Game of Wool again. I'm going to tell you why I think the program is a big setup and who I think is going to win. So, the Game of Wool program on Channel 4, since it's been announced, I've been waiting for the program with great excitement and anticipation. And every time the program would come up in news, in some commercials, I would think, how can they possibly compete in knitting? It's so many different things to all of us, and we all knit for sometimes for different reasons, but a lot of us knit for the meditative purposes that the knitting can provide, and have some exciting projects at the end of it, like have a jumper or hat or a scarf or pair of socks at the end of it, which we can wear or gift to others. It's quite a individual hobby where we all kind of have different reasons to knit. We have different skills, different abilities, and have different tastes in what we like to knit. My initial thoughts when I watched the first episode was that the program is a setup and it's unfairly structured in the type of tasks that were given to the contestants, in the time constraint, in the yarn that was chosen for the tasks. From the beginning, it wasn't clear the level of skills of the contestants. It seemed like some were better knitters than others, more experienced. Holger and Aisla stood out in the first episode, and I felt like they were probably the strongest knitters out of the all 10 contestants. Then I continued watching. And every episode I had a feeling it's a setup. They know who's going to be voted off. Straight into the episode, it feels like we know who's going to be voted off by the way the judges approach the contestant who's going to be voted off and pick on the faults in the knitting. That was apparent in all 5 episodes, whether it was from the episode 1 to episode 5. So far, it's been very clear to me who's going to be voted off. The beginning of the episode, I thought, right, this person's going to get voted off. And I was right every single time. And I wonder if you also have the same feelings when you watch the program. So when I watched episode 5, last week's episode 5, my suspicions got confirmed that the program is a big setup. And why I thought that is because again, the first half of the program, same thing happens. The judges walk around and pick faults with a contestant who's going to be voted off. And in the second task, in episode 5, they placed contestants into 3 categories in my mind. So they placed Ailsa and Holger as the top knitters. The middle knitters were Simon and Lydia. I had to write down the names so I remember. Kind of the losing team were Isaac and Tracy. And of course, Tracy was the one who was picked on in the first half of the competition, and therefore she was placed with Isaac. So instead of mixing the contestants, they've actually placed them into their potential winning, as if potential winning groups. So Holger, Ailsa, Simon, Lydia, and then Isaac and Tracy. Tracy, of course, got voted off last week, and I think this week it's going to be Isaac, followed by Simon, and then followed by Lydia. The final battle is going to be between Holger and Ailsa, and I think for more than one reason Holger will win. I think Holger and Ailsa are the strongest knitters in the competition. Holger probably more so. He's always come up with slightly different and better ideas, so I think he's had a lot of knitting experience and probably has a lot more experience in various knitting designs. Ailsa is also a strong knitter in my opinion, and I think those two are going to go into the final round. Admittedly, Holger and Aisla are good knitters, but in episode 5 felt a bit of favoritism to Holger and Ailsa. In the second round of the competition, the jumper actually had a mistake where they sewed together pieces the wrong way round, and despite that the jumper was the winning one, and then Holger got a badge of the top knitter again. I haven't been counting, but I think he's got 2 badges now because he wore the 2 badges on his top at the end of the episode. Am I enjoying the show? No, I'm not enjoying the show because I think it's a big setup. It feels like a controlled environment with each contestant taking turn in being voted off rather than being voted off on the basis of the merit and the skill and the task. The tasks in themselves feel unfair feel unfair to me as a knitter. If I'm a viewer who doesn't knit, the competition is pointless. Has been nothing in the program so far that could be replicated or could even give me an ideas about something I could knit for myself. Another thing, a lot of the tasks so far have been about crocheting, and I don't crochet. Not many knitters crochet, and those who crochet may not knit. A lot of the program is structured about combining the two skills. You might ask, are there any, being so coming across so negative, are there any aspects of the program that could be that I enjoyed? Yeah, and yes, there are. I'd like to say that I've enjoyed every episode. I enjoyed looking at contestants' knitted garments, those who do turn up to their those who did turn up in their knitted outfits. There's one contestant who hasn't. I haven't seen anything so far that he's made for himself, and I think that's Simon. But unfortunately, the program doesn't tell us anything about those items of clothing that the contestants knitted for themselves. Those items could showcase their skills a lot better, where they knitted them not within such a tight time constraint, and they had an opportunity to choose the yarn and the design. Also, if I rate the episodes, there were a couple of designs which I thought, oh, they're great. I could probably knit those as well, but not using the same type of wool and the same knitting needles. I don't actually use knitting needles more than size 4. I tend to use smaller size needles because they're more comfortable to use as tools. And if you're knitting a jumper in very large needles, that can be quite uncomfortable and painful if you have to do that for a sustained period of time. I think tank tops were a good idea. Some contestants managed to create some quite nice tops, although unfinished. Rowan followed up, and straight after the first episode, they tried to sell those tank tops to buy as patterns with the yarn bundle as well, which I thought it was a little bit distasteful, but then I've also heard that they've sponsored the program, so that's probably understandable to an extent. And I've also been really annoyed with Rowan lately. They've been running a yarn sale for the Black Friday and Cyber Week period, and every time I go on the website to have a look at the yarn, every time I click on something, a pop-up with a Game of Wool commercial comes up. And it's quite persistent. It's difficult to look at the yarn, and I find I have to click away every few seconds. It's been quite annoying. So actually for Rowan, I haven't bought any yarn in this sale. Not necessarily because of those reasons, but because I found the yarn was not what I wanted to buy. I will continue watching no matter how frustrated I feel with the program. I would like to see if my prediction who gets voted off in each episode is going to come true, and also if the final 2 contestants are going to be Holger and Aisla, I'd like to see what they're going to produce. I anticipate something of quite a good quality. Hopefully it's not going to be underwear again, and hopefully it's not going to be food. I think those are terrible ideas. Anyway, thanks for watching. I see you in the next video. Bye bye.